Day 2 of the BMW IBSF Men's Skeleton World Championships at Innsbruck in Austria, and the snow is just starting to fall as we get ready for our third and perhaps decisive slide in this competition. Martin Haven alongside me, John Morgan at the twice Olympic city of Innsbruck. And John, snow here could throw a curveball to somebody in this championships.
Yeah, it could alter what happened yesterday. Sun Bin Young, the guy who's been doing it all season long, no surprise here that he's in third place, and he's only 200ths away from the Russian rocket Alexander Trechikov. We're a little surprised with that. Sun Bin Young, a good second run. Trechikov, well, he set the track record at the start. That's expected, but he was pretty sloppy down the track and couldn't post the time that you thought he would to challenge his nemesis in the world of skeleton, which is the guy that they call Superman, Martin Stucars, winner of 6 of 7 races so far this season. And all he did was a workman's type day. He blew away the field in both runs. Speed, nobody could match. Best time in both heats. He's the leader by 53/100ths of a second, but the snow could definitely affect things.
You're absolutely right. It throws a curveball and nobody knows which way it's going to go. Martin Stucars leads them by just over half a second. Trechikov versus Yun, maybe for the silver medal. Axel Jung out of it? I'm not sure. Normally maybe, but who knows? Thomas Stucars and Nikita Tregobov, rather, the junior world champion behind. And some good stories in the first heat. 2 young sons of a former world champion, Florian Auer, 14th, Alex Auer in 17th position after their first day in World Championship action. And the top 20 rounded out by 2 men, Hansen Lee and Marco Rohrer. Behind them, Alexander Mutovin and the rest need to move up, or they'll be watching from the sidelines. And it is maybe the first 2 out of the top 20 that have a shot at getting in. The gaps are not big. Maybe the first 3 or 4 actually within 2 tenths. So all of our athletes will go in the third heat, 34 of them. This man will be last of the first 20. Kilian von Schleinitz of Germany. Well, he had a good first day, but Martin Stucars, the man with the lead, looks as calm as ever. Nikita Tregobov, the young Russian rocket. And there's Thomas Stucars, 5th position. Can he ease closer to the medals for a final run? Well, it may be down to Alexander Trechikov to challenge for the gold. Hansen Lee there of Korea, his teammate Sun Bin Young will be looking to try and get his first World Championship medal under his belt. Last year, Martin Stucars, the world champion from Trechikov and Thomas Stucars, and they will all go in the top 5 this year, though. Sun Bin Young and Axel Jung between Thomas Stucars and a medal shot. We'll go 1st to 36th, and then the fastest 20 will be going in reverse order in our 4th and deciding heat. All heats count. Total aggregate time decides the champion and the also rans. And you can see the Kreisel corner, one of the trademark turns on this track. First day's heats saw Martin Stucars in dominant form in the Men's Skeleton World Championships. Now he's got to consolidate and try and extend his lead.
487 in the first run, 486 in the second run, 487 in the third run. That just typifies what this guy does. How about his music coming out of the box? Superman, I love that.
John Williams, and why not? A little bit of snow falling. You can see there's no snow built up in the track. It's only just started to snow lightly about 5 or 10 minutes ago. Track workers will be sweeping the track as much as they can between the heats. Out of the Kreisel, vital exit, fringes on the left-hand wall. See the snow flurries blowing up there already, though. 9 to 10. Again, straight down the middle.
It's like a video game.
He is. If it was a tramway, he's following it.
I mean, he's just on another planet. I mean, the guy he's not like everybody else. Perfect form. Did he
oh
make a mistake?
My goodness, 52.11, a new track record in the snow. Are you kidding me?
But, you know, it's just unbelievable to watch him.
And yet he'll get up and go back and think, right, I need to tidy that one up.
His father gives him a look. Hey, okay. He's done this so consistently. I just don't know of anybody else who's dominated a sport over the last 6 years like this guy. And as he comes out of the blocks, he is the lowest guy out of the blocks of anybody that we see. and he's so consistent, even here in the first 50 meters, so precise.
You watch Usain Bolt out of the blocks, and it's 3 or 4 steps before he even starts to rise. These guys never rise, they never get into the upright phase. The explosion is just as crucial.
Okay, we just saw a track record at the start, or at the finish. Chance here to see a track record.
Tretyakov needs to blow the records apart.
I said he set the track record yesterday. He did not. He was 100th out.
It was Martin Stuckers who set it in the first of our 2 runs.
Let's see, 73.
Track record 472, 476.
Boy, of course, he's not the young Tretyakov we used to know, but he's still better than nobody else is in the 70s at the start.
That brings back 11 hundredths of Martin Stuckers' lead, so he's only 42 hundredths behind when he lies down. That starting velocity carries him through. The lead now under 4
he's got to
tenths.
stay at 39, 41. Okay, he's got to stay at 41. This is where he was sloppy yesterday.
Oh, did he touch the wall? Not quite. 45 hundredths, it's the first round lead of 53. We're getting back out towards that again. He needs to break the track record to stand any hope.
Losing it back, 57. He's about equal, but that's not good enough.
He's off record pace.
Coming in now.
Snow is really starting to blow. And
it's almost a whiteout.
Wow.
52.32, but that is better than anything he did yesterday. That was the old track record before.
Yeah, by some
Superman
margin
did
better.
that.
Now then, the jury are left with a problem because suddenly the wind and the snow are really blustering in. Everybody else now is already behind. This is going to just destroy the race if the snow starts to come in hard.
Well, you know, his one knee down, usually more precise, and this is curve 8. You know, he didn't make a lot of errors here. Well, he goes from the left side to the right. I don't like that because then he's got to get in the middle of 10. Look at the snow.
Yeah.
That's big flakes, too.
That is big, wet snow. This could have a really detrimental effect on this third heat. Sunbin in the Korea, it's been snowing now for 10 minutes. It's only been snowing for 4 or 5 minutes before Martin Stuckers went.
Well, he's going to chase down Tretyakov right here, especially if he gets into the 483s.
Richard Bromley builds the sleds, coaches this young Korean athlete.
Mr. Quad, we can call him. His legs are enormous.
21 years old, huge Iron Man
48.
fan.
So
but look at the snow in the track. He just wafts it aside, but that's all slowing him down.
Good form through the first 3 curves.
Now, a lot of the track, as you can see, is covered, but not all of it. And he was only 200ths behind Alexander Tretyakov in the battle for the silver medal. And any snow on one stretch is going to rob him of that chance.
I still think he's got a chance here to catch Tretyakov. And he's not bleeding like Tretyakov.
He's still only 3rd on the split times. Good run, 9 to 10. He had a very wayward run in the first heat.
Yeah.
Still in 3rd on the split times. He's losing ground to Tretyakov. Tretyakov only 7400ths behind at the bottom of the track, and Yun, who was 200ths behind, comes in 700ths away.
Still faster than Anthony Wood did yesterday, right? Yeah, he had 57 to 62, and here he had a 37, right?
So 2 tenths quicker. But don't forget, yesterday the men were on ice at 9 in the morning. It's now 3:30 in the afternoon, so the ice is warmer, a little less sticky.
Look how low this is. Look at the quads on this guy. He is the only skeleton athlete in the field that's got, well, Big Dave Grizz has got some build, but he doesn't have quads like this. I don't know how many bobsledders got quads like that. I mean,
not many.
He is a
not many track cyclists would envy, wouldn't envy those quads.
He looks more like a track cyclist, doesn't he?
He doesn't run like a track cyclist, though. Well, look at the fans down at the bottom, the Korean fans, the Russian fans, and the Austrians. Latvians, of course.
Well, now they're starting to sweep. Now there's a delay.
Yeah, but we're in trouble now. This is the jury's job is to make this an equal race, and this is not how it was for Martin Stuckers. This is going to crucify everybody who goes now. They can't.
Well, they're never going to chase down Martin Stuckers. It's the Axel Young and the guy next to him.
They have to have a fair chance.
Well, if they're going down faster than they went down yesterday, it's fair.
It's not. The ice is faster, but the snow makes it unfair.
I think 10 sleds from now, so it's okay to disagree. But I think right now it doesn't make that much of an effect.
The guys who are trying to get into the top 20 when it's been snowing for an hour, they're the guys.
But that's a half hour from now.
Yeah.
So you're passing judgment now. Let's let it sit. I think what we've seen in the first 3 sleds is pretty much chalk. So he's back a minute 10 here. Ooh, tap there's not going to help him.
He was 3/10 away from the medals, and he is already 3,500s away from the medals, halfway down the track. You see the snow flurries blowing out underneath the sled on every corner.
Well, it's light snow. It's not setting.
It's wet.
52.67.
0.3 of a second slower than Sun Bin Young on that run alone.
Still faster than he went yesterday. He was 0.3 slower, and now he's 1960. So he lost 2,800ths there in that heat. Watch his hands. Saw some problems in the women's race this morning. That's a great load onto the sled where his hips and chest came down first. And here's a mistake here, though. This is pretty costly. Hitting the wall. Then this is out of into 8. So that's where the exit of 8 to 9.
Well, there's Axel Jung. I think his chance of a medal has just gone. So we're seeing the gaps growing as we sort of expect when you start the fastest first. It's going to extend the advantage often. Thomas Ducours 0.28 behind Axel Jung. Now can he find a bit more pace?
I think Axel Jung had a good run. I think that mistake out of Kreisel really affected his time on the bottom. We'll see what Thomas Ducours could do here. Again, bronze medalist last year in the World Championships.
Bobble through corner 3.
6th and 5 yesterday in his 2 heats. 6th and 5th best runs.
Tallest athletes as well.
Yeah. 1.44.
Well, he's tall and heavy. Anybody light is going to really struggle. Offline up to corner 10. More height. Good exit though. Having to work hard to control it. 1.6 seconds away. Don't forget, this is the man who was 5th yesterday. Already 1.75. 1 3/4 seconds behind his brother after 3 runs down the track.
So he lost 63 hundredths to his brother right there. So 112 to 175. They show, I bet you there is some jury discussion, but I don't know how much they can do. I mean, it's the luck of the draw, and you deal with it.
Second heat yesterday, he was 36 hundredths slower than his brother. Today, 63 hundredths.
63 hundredths.
Yeah. So Martis Ducours leads from Alexander Tretyakov and Sun Bin Young. Nikita Tregibov, the double junior world champion on the blocks with coach Philly Schneider, who not only trains the Russian team but builds all their equipment. Now, what they will not have done with those tubular runners is chosen runners for snow conditions. They'll have gone with ice temperature. What was anticipated today, the forecast was for a little bit of light snow today. Unfortunately, it's come right at the beginning of this first heat of the day for the men's World Championships.
So this is the young Russian phenom who's going to inherit Tretyakov's title. Now you could see the runners in the snow there. That was the first time through curve 1 and 2 we did see snow in the track.
2 493s yesterday. He's just started 499 in the first heat today. Although they start under shelter, almost immediately they leave the blocks and start the timing line. They're running out into the snow. Again, as the sled goes by, little eddies of snow coming up. Not a bad exit out of 9, but had to correct with his hips. 7 here. No cover.
He's ahead of Ducours here. Thomas.
Yep. Moves up 1 spot.
So we finally
500s in front.
52.61. That's 23 hundredths. Where Thomas Ducours did not go faster than he did the day before.
Yep. Tregibov has found more pace.
So that's the first guy
He was
moved
wild
up.
yesterday.
Ironically, that's the first guy moved up. But look at this down here. I mean, he was really stretching to stay off the... He's happy with that.
Yeah, struggled a bit for pace yesterday. Good fast start, but the speed dropped out of the sled. We've seen a number of times this season. So the German coach is now watching this young Bavarian kid, Kilian von Schleinitz, just 22 years of age. Raced in January here in the Intercontinental Cup, the second tier of sliding, 2 podium finishes. His World Cup debut at the end of last season. Occasional performer in the World Cup this year, just a couple of World Cup races. Junior World Champion in 2014. He went to the Junior Worlds again this year, took the silver medal behind Tregibov. 5.07 getaway yesterday, an 04 and an 03. It's within the blink of an eye, though. It's not like they're 2 or 3 seconds slower, because there's no wind behind this.
Because everybody's been slower. Nobody's been faster. The only consistent guy was that guy named Martins Dukars, where he went 100th difference than yesterday's times.
Yeah, Dukars and Tretyakov were right on it, but there's not wind blowing up against the athletes.
Little tap there. 192 back. So he's lost 6 tenths. 53 hundredths. 213 back. He's really fallen off the pace. Good form in the finish, but he's not going to move up. 53.01.
Well, he did an 01 and an 02 yesterday.
So he's got 3 times. So where most of the other sleds in front of us, except for Thomas Dukars, everybody else has gone a couple tenths faster.
Yeah.
And he's the first guy that sort of matched the time that he had yesterday. So either the track is slowing down on its own, and then the snow.
Yep.
But this didn't help. He tapped there, and then he pushed him into the middle of 8. He's got to climb 8. And now the exit of 9.
Covered here, so you see no snow eddying, but you do see it on all the other straights, so it's definitely...
Well, 9 to 10 there's got a roof.
Yeah. It's not snowing quite as hard now. Look in the background, which is probably good news for Nathan Crumpton, top US slider after the first day of competition in 8th position, 2400s behind Kilian von Schleinitz.
Good track and field athlete here, and he's showing it. Oh, he rocked back and did hit the sled on the back.
Well, he's only 600s in front of the athlete behind him, so he knows the chasing pack are breathing down his neck.
300 slower than his first run yesterday at the start, and you know, a Princeton triple jumper, one of the best ever that Princeton produced.
First year on World Cup this year. He's had a really good season, hasn't he?
Well, he just, you know, I heard him say, he wants to stay in Europe. He wants to keep sliding on these European tracks. You know, he wants to get used to the hotels, the food, the travel, the track, the language. That's what makes you a good slider. These are great lines.
Yeah, nice looking line, 9 to 10 as well.
Done anything to improve.
Good exit out of the Kreisel. Well, he was 2400s behind von Schleinitz. So if he matches his first day's efforts, then he'll stay 2400s behind.
Best time. He moved up a little bit.
Yeah, he's a 10th behind. He's taken 1400s out of von Schleinitz.
So he reached into that.
So he's got a real target for the next run.
52.87, and we keep comparing these times.
Well, that's faster
than he was done yesterday by 20 hundredths.
But again, he's got 2 runs more knowledge of this track than he did when he arrived at the beginning of the week. So
he was very quiet in the sled. Total control all the way down. And again, he's a triple jumper. Look at the way he's come off there. That looked weird coming off there. But remember, I said he banged his sled back.
Yeah.
I think he came back too far.
Well,
look at the hands.
Often when you see double hands, it's like a golf grip. The 2 hands are together. His are quite different space.
Well, he's got his hands all spread like a sprinter.
Yeah.
But he's got the track and field background. That whole thing at the start is about track and field instinct.
Nice stuff from Nathan Crumpton. So next up is Michael Zakrau of Germany. Again, World Cup rookie this season. So Zakrau is just 21, a former ski jumper. Wouldn't be jumping in this snow, that's for certain.
Three Germans in the top 9.
Yeah.
And they're young.
Look at him go. Only 600s behind Nathan Crumpton of the USA.
06 yesterday, 010 or 10 here today. 7. Good. He's one of the, him and Dukars are the only two athletes to stay within 100th of their start time yesterday. Everybody's 200, 300, 400 slow.
Yep. So he's trying to close down a 600th of a second gap. 9th place after the first day of competition. And anywhere in the top 10 in the World Championships for a rookie, you'll take that with both hands. But of course, immediately he wants to move up.
The Germans look pretty well positioned for 2 years out of the Olympic Games in both men's and women's skeleton. They're leading the women's event here with 2 heats to go. Tina Herman, and here again, three young Germans in the top 9.
Good run, 9 to 10. Good run out of 11. Long skid there though, 12 to 13. 14 doesn't pick up a spot, and in fact he drops back, doesn't he?
53.15. He's at 53.17 in the first run, 53.16 in the second run, 53.15 in the third run. That's consistent. Weather was a little bit different in each heat, but you know, like Crumpton, he went 2/10 faster.
Crumpton moved up. He's gone from 600s behind Sakharov to 3400s behind.
Look at the hands here. Watch the crossover. This is not easy. We saw some dangerous moves in the women's competition this morning. Canadian Jane Chanel almost fell off her sled and really crushed her chances of a medal with that mishap at the start. Well, it's a winter sport.
Yep. Haven't had much snow here in the Tyrol. They have got a little bit coming down today. Don Parsons of Great Britain, top 10 after the first heat. 100th behind Germany's Mikhail Sakharov. Now here's a real opportunity to move up. And he's got Matt Antoine, 300s behind him.
Yeah,
and Pavel Kulikov a 10th back.
Talking to Dom before the event, 6 and a 7 yesterday, 7 today, that's great. You know, I said, you get a chance to move up a couple spots today. Yeah, especially if I had that start I used to have. And he used to be a good starter, but of course he had that ankle surgery.
Yep.
And you know, he is not what he used to be in the first 50 meters. When 2 years ago, we saw him in the first World Cup in Calgary, medal in the World Cup, and we said, wow, Great Britain's got a good slider here, but he hasn't matched that. Of course, that injury of your ankle has a lot to do with the way you sprint.
100th behind Mikhail Sakharov after the first 2 heats. He's pulled in front of the German now. He's got to hold that slide and not lose this ground again. Moving up into 9th place.
Hey, one spot at a time.
Yeah. Well, this is a good run down the bottom as well. Snow flying everywhere, but at the line.
53.07.
53.07. So that moves him ahead of Mikhail Sakharov.
Only 500s faster than his first run yesterday, but it's fastest he's been down in the 3 heats. So anybody goes faster compared to some of the sleds we've seen equal or worse, that's the telltale sign. Here on the exit of 9, the pivotal part of the track, and he looks a little as he come left to right on us. Yeah,
little skid, but
little skid there.
Gets it straightened up.
Not bad, Dom.
Shows that he had definite room for improvement after yesterday.
Thank you.
Mind you, even Martin Stukors, our race leader, would say that nothing is perfect. He leads with our first 10 sleds of 34 down the track. Men's Skeleton World Championship, Heat 3 of 4, Matt Antoine of the USA, chasing a top 10 finish, 300s out of the first 10 sleds after day 1 of competition. With light snow falling, Martin Haven, John Morgan calling the action trackside with you. Behind him, you can see in the helmet, Pavel Kulikov, who's only 700s behind Antoine.
He's going to give up a lot of time here, 5:13 yesterday, so he hopes to match 5:14, 5:15 or better. 5:08! Now, no one's lit up the start track like that. I think Matt Antoine realizes that he has got to reach deep, deep into the old Matt Antoine, start the sled, and move up a couple spots.
His second push yesterday was 5:08, so he's got that speed still. Now, he has moved ahead of Mikhail Sakharov. The young German was only 400s in front.
That's relative to the start. Antoine, ooh, that was good form until that spot of the exit of Kreisel.
And he's moved ahead of Don Parsons, who was only 300s in front.
Clean there. Look at his feet. I mean, he's pretty confident slider at the moment.
Little skid out of 11.
This is the bronze medalist from 2014.
Moving day for Antoine, 11th to 9th at the line. Picks up 2 spots. And he's only 600s behind teammate Nathan Crumpton for the top American position in 8th.
And you know there's a race within a race amongst the Americans. And Matt Antoine says, I'm USA 1, and I want to finish this World Championships at USA 1. Look for a great matchup with him and his teammate in the final run. Start. This guy used to have the top 3 start in the world. Then he went into a radical change this summer, and he has had no start early in the season. But it looks like he's starting to return to form. His mistake here from 8 to 9, that might have been his only blemish down the track. Good run for Matt Antoine of the United States.
And speed at the bottom, 121.3, second fastest we've seen. So that will accelerate him perhaps away from Pavel Kulikov, but much less snow now than there was for the second, third, fourth, fifth runners maybe. So everybody now starting to run into less tricky conditions. This young Russian. Now, can he move up as well? Can he follow in Matt Antoine's wake? Just 23 years old, Kulikov.
Good launch.
Yep.
97 yesterday. 93 today.
Oh, that's a big
so
start.
Now we're seeing athletes have an improvement at the start, and I think the snow might be a little less than it was from like the 3rd to 10th sled.
It'll take another few sleds to really clear it out of the track with the sweeping on the straights, but the conditions do look to be improving. Kulikov, 492 his best start yesterday, does a 493 to everything other than electronic timing. Those will be identical. Good run.
Nice exit. 224.
Slipped a spot behind Matt Antoine to 10th place. He was 12th overnight. 11th place behind Don Parsons. Mikhail Zakrau, who was 9th overnight, looks like he's going to drop the 3rd spot here.
10th best time of the run.
Kulikov behind him.
53.05.
Kulikov 400s behind Mikhail Zakrau.
You know, he's 3/10 better in this run than he was in the first run yesterday, and he's 800s or 500s better than his second run yesterday. So the track is giving up better times still than we had yesterday. Crossover, the extension. You know, I don't like it when they have that one knee hit the saddle first and it rocks the sled. I think that when they launch themselves and they land with their hips and their chest, the sled stays more even in the grooves. Here, there's some skidding here on the exit of 9, crosses over left to right into 10.
Pizza forever. All right. Spoken like a true athlete. So Kyle Brown of the USA now. 3rd of our US sliders. They were all in the top 13 after the first heat. He's only 1100s back from Kulikov, the Russian.
Had a much better second run, did Kyle.
Yeah,
17th in the first run. He was 9th in the second run. So obviously he got the cobwebs out from the first run, little jitters in his first World Championships. Got a chance to move up here with if he posts the time that he did in the second run yesterday, he could move up a couple spots.
27 years old from that winter sport heartland of Concord, New Hampshire. Oh, just a little brush with the wall. And that's going to stop his charge up behind Pavel Kulikov. He was only 400s in front of the man behind him overnight as well. So this might see him slip a little down the order. Track workers stepping right in behind the sled to sweep the snow away, which is now all but stopped.
53.20. So he goes, that's the second best time of the 3. Well, he's 2,600s better than his first run yesterday.
This now indicates, this is his knowledge of the track, or rather lack of. He did a 46, a 12, and now a 20. Now, it's only 0.2 of a second, that whole spread, but it's the consistency and knowledge of the track that he's missing at the moment.
You know, when you're new in this sport,
exactly.
It's his first World Championships, it's about consistency, and his first run, you know, he needed to throw the first run out. And
well, if we're in Lake Placid that he knows much better, he'd have been much closer to the same time every time. And that's,
hey everybody.
That's where knowledge comes. One more run to go. Next up, Florian Auer and Alexander Auer. 2 young brothers, 22-year-old Florian, 24-year-old Alex. Florian has done 1 World Cup race before. Listen to the noise of the Austrians. Yelled off by former World Championship bronze medalist Mickey Grumberger. He was in third place behind Florian's dad, Christian Auer, 25 years ago yesterday in the World Championships. Christian then went out and tore a hamstring last night in the Legends race, trying to beat his son's start times.
He forgot his birthday.
Yeah.
And he's limping around badly today, but he's still got great pride. Having his two kids slide in the World Championship event on their home track. Little mistake up there, uncharacteristic, you know, on their home track. They've been down the track 1,000 times.
Oh, and maybe it's the excitement of the occasion just getting to him a little.
Saw him before the race started, big smile on his face, and just nodded at me. A lot of pressure on him here.
Start draw number 28. He came at the end of the day up into 14th place, ahead of his older brother. And that's not a bad looking run, 53.46.
Yeah, he made some mistakes up top.
Yeah, that's his slowest of the competition.
Yeah, he needed to improve. We've seen the previous 4 or 5 sleds all have improvement from their times yesterday. He did not, and he had a problem. Problem 5 to 6.
Yeah, should stay in front of his brother, though.
Well, he hopes. Well, got the crossover here. Boy, that such different ways of, you know, getting into the saddle. It's what term we're now using as of listening to Lizzie Yardle this morning.
In between the handles, that's the little framework they call the saddle. You hang on to it, use it to hold on to the sled, otherwise you'd shoot off.
His mistake up at 5.6 that was pretty devastating to his time.
Florian Auer being chased down by 2 sliders. Maciej Gaspari of Italy is only 600s behind him. The man next to come, Dave Cheshin of Canada, only another 200s back. So both these guys could move up with a good run. Gaspari just 22 years old, bronze in the Junior Worlds last year, and really having a big season this year.
14 in the first run, 10 in the second run, and a 5.11 there. He's had a pretty good year. You know, he's really given the Italians a hope in the skeleton sliding sports because they really haven't had much in a few years.
Started in 2010. Last year, 21st in the World Championships in Winterberg. This year, 15th overnight.
Good run here. Will put him in the final run and guarantee him his personal best. Second World Championships.
He's already ahead of Florian Auer on the split times, but too much steering down here will rob him of the speed he needs to stay in 14th place.
Hanging in there.
Good looking lines. Timing has to be so spot on through the labyrinth, and his is, and he does move up.
Best time of the run.
53.20. Yesterday, a 43 and a 25. He's got
he's
quicker.
best time. Look at, nice finish. Florian, he moves up.
Yeah, ahead of Florian Auer.
Yeah.
Gaspari looking a little faster again today.
Well, the start, the reach. You know, we've seen some of these track and field athletes with their arms way forward, then come all the way back up in the air. He's only going half the pendulum. I think it really, when you see some of those really good starters, they really use that track and field instinct in that start.
It's all about learning, isn't it? Another year on the ice, much more knowledge of what to expect and how to deal with it. Martins Ducours, our race leader, after 15 sleds. Dave Cheshin of Canada, 36-year-old teacher from Calgary, Alberta. Brompton, Ontario, rather. Former rugby player. Last year, Grizz 11th in the World Championships in Winterberg. Not quite enough space here for him to really find his top speed. The 5.05 getaway, not bad at all.
Well, when you consider yesterday he went 5.11 and then 5.17 in the second run.
Yep.
That was strange. It doesn't sound like much, but boy, 500ths difference on this track is a lot of time on the bottom.
Well, he's gone 1200ths faster than his slowest start yesterday. He's only 200s behind Maciej Gaspari and only 6 behind Florian Auer, so that sort of puts him in front before he's even laid down. He's picked up 2 spots by the exit of the Kreisel.
You know, we talk about consistency. You know, he's been all over the place in the first 3 heats at the start. He's a good slider down the track. He uses this big frame.
Here we go. Good lines through the labyrinth.
He could move up up at least
Yep,
one.
2 spots.
10th best time of the run.
2 spots up, 53.04. Yesterday a 28 and a 42, and today a 0.4.
So the track's holding in there.
Yep. So Dave Kreszczeshin moves up 2 spots.
Chance to chase down that 11th place that he had last year. Small steps, he says. Well, these aren't small steps here. These are big steps from a big man. And look at that nice form in the sled. Look at the way the sled bounces, though. Looks like he hit the knees and the back end of the sled first, but the helmet says it all, doesn't it? Look at that helmet.
There's the grizzly bear.
They're all weighing the sleds here in the 3rd run.
And the athletes.
Better push. You got that right.
Well, cometh the man, cometh the hour. Thanks, Hillary, for that quote. This is Alexander Auer, older of the 2 brothers. Mickey Grunberger with the sled, and again the Austrians bringing the noise. Can he move up as well? His target, his immediate target, is his brother, but his brother Florian was 33 hundredths faster than him, 39 hundredths faster than him in the first heats.
Boy.
Over rotation.
Yeah. 5:05.
Quicker start by some margin than his second.
Yeah, a 5:04 in the first run, 5:10. So again, not consistent that second run yesterday. Look at the form. You know, he's got great form. They say his father was a great technical slider. We had to be the world champion in '91 and a number of other World Cup medals and titles. And smooth. Now he gets through there without tapping. 298.
First target is his brother. And Florian 3.33 seconds down at the finish line. And at the moment, he is 3.26. He can't afford to lose any extra time to the leaders if he's going to overhaul Florian to be the best of the hours.
14th best time. 14th best.
13 hundredths behind him, so he's taken 2 tenths out of his brother in that run alone.
That'll be interesting in the final run.
There's a battle of battles, isn't it?
25 hundredths better in his first run. That's his best run of the 3. So the track's still hanging in there. We saw some weird stuff in the women's race today in the second run with this track. And watch him jump. I don't think this is smooth. Boy, look at how far outside the drive line. He jumps right to left, our right to left, his left to right. Boy, that was a dangerous jump onto that sled because you could easily come out of these grooves
kind of
like he is right now.
Begging the sled to pop the groove, isn't it? But he gets a good run into turn 1. He's been doing it all his life. His first trip from the top, 2.5 years old, with his dad kneeling over him on a sled. Drove his own at 4. Dave Swift of Great Britain. 4th fastest starter in both heats, a 4.91 and a 4.90. And expect him to go a little bit quicker. Caleb Smith, the development coach, ICC coach for Great Britain.
He could get in the 80s here, the way this guy runs.
Well, the youth development coach, Mark Wood in Lillehammer, has just seen a British girl, 15 years old, take the youth Olympic gold in women's skeleton. 4.90, the start for Dave Swift.
4.91, 4.90, and then 4.90. The start, he's got that down pat. Driving down the track, 23rd in the first run, 16th in the second run. So he's got to find more consistency down the track.
He needs another 16th rather than another 23rd.
Yeah, and this is, now we're starting to talk about who's going to make it into the 4th and final run. He needs a good run here to put his place in there.
Definitely.
And this looks pretty good.
Come on, Swifty, nice and straight out of 9. Just a tiny little skid, but that sets him up nicely for corner 10.
Who's late? Going to be late here.
Okay, hold it together.
He's going to do it.
Overreact down in the labyrinth.
He's doing good. He's going to move up a couple places.
Well, he was up to 16th on the split, 17th on the split time. So he moves ahead of Alexander Auer, and he is 200ths behind Florian Auer.
Now the hours, Alexander looks like he could be on the bubble here for the top 20.
So yesterday, Swifty's run 53.74, 53.33. Today, 53.03.
10th best time of the run. The track's still giving it up.
Yeah, 3 of those 53.0s would see him in the top 6.
That's as good as technically he has got, of course, his father's a sprint coach for Great Britain, right? So
He's now retired,
he's got
but
that
he
great
definitely
track and
was.
field instinct, and he applies it in that first 50 meters.
Now, if his day yesterday was like that run, he would be in the top half dozen, as his start suggests he could be. Barrett Martineau, former ski jumper from Canada. Let's see what Bear can do. Second World Championships for him.
Pretty consistent 18 and 19 bottom time, 16, 15 start time, 6:00. That's the best start of the three, though. 5:06, 5:07, now 5 flat.
20th in last year's Worlds in Winterberg in Germany. Really wants to make the cut and improve on that if he can. 19th overnight with a tie for 20th behind.
A lot of that curve there.
Very late. And that could spell disaster. Hung on to that turn far too long.
Curve 4, he made his mistake. Curve 5, he paid for it. Now he's going to really struggle down here with speed.
And we won't know how badly until we get our next couple of sliders up, who are tied behind him for 20th spot. If there is a tie for 20th, both athletes go through into the final run.
Late, he's been late. Boy, maybe different setup for Barrett all the way down the track.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, 18th best time, so that's the first guy that hasn't moved up a couple. But he's 19th, 371, so now that puts him.
Well, he was a third of a second in front of our tie for 20th. No, he wasn't. He was 2200s, not 3200s, so he's got nearly a quarter of a second in hand, but
he's not happy. You look, he's going to walk right. Here's the curve 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. Watch the mistake there, and then watch him skid into 5. That is, it might be the worst line we're going to see on that part of the track, and he's going to go, not going to take his helmet off. He's very angry with himself, and I don't blame him.
Well, he may still make the top 20, but moving up may not happen for him. Mark Aurora, a few years ago when he was on the junior circuit, got himself locked out of his accommodation, had to sleep in the shed down the bottom where they keep the sleds overnight. And he said that then led to his best race weekend ever at Igls. I wonder if he was sleeping in the shed overnight in the hope of history repeating. I think possibly not.
5:02, 5:03. He could break into the 498, 499 here. This is a good athlete.
Yeah, he's a good quick starter.
499. If everybody else is improving, he should too. 5:06 went the other way. Now it's just, you know, how some athletes go better and the other ones go worse. I mean, it's
the whole thing is a head game, isn't it? As well as the physical attributes you need, it is between the ears so much in World Championships.
Especially him, because he needs a great start. He can't be conservative on the start track. He's right on the bubble.
So maybe he
might
was
as
a
well
little
go
too
for it
tense.
or go home.
So behind Barrett Martineau, long skid. That could be trouble.
Wrong side, entering that curve 8.
And late out of 9,
here,
hits the wall as well.
His mistake for those 3 curves started on the Exeter Kreis.
20th place at the moment. He's the 20th slider.
He's going to be right on that bubble.
Yeah. His real danger man will be up next.
48. That's faster than he's been down. He had a 66 and a 69, but pretty sloppy up there on the Exeter Kreis.
Now, he was tied to the 100th with Hans Lee of Korea, both in the first heat and in the second. Lee's going to have to make a few mistakes for that to happen a third time in a row.
Look how late he is here, almost a scorpion where the leg comes over the top and bang there. So he went for a different setup. He wasn't in good control.
20 sleds down, Martin Stucos, our race leader. The battle now on to make the cut for the 4th and final heat here in Austria. Tied for 20th place after the first heat with Mark Aurora of Switzerland. Tied for 20th place after the second heat with Mark Aurora of Switzerland.
That's like lottery stuff.
All right, if lightning strikes 3 times here, I don't know what we're going to say.
One of us got to leave the booth.
But if Hansin Lee improves on the run of Mark Aurora, he will be in the race and Aurora will be out.
5:10. It's his best start of the 3, 14, 13, and now he's got a 10. So his coach has said, no conservative start, you got to go for it. And he's safely on the sled. He's an experienced slider. Look at his form. He just doesn't perform like his teammate.
Doesn't have a start like his teammate, only 19th fastest at the start, not first fastest, and that makes a difference, especially on this short shoot.
Yeah, Sun Bin Young's got the second, third best start.
And at the moment, he's 21st, but he did this in the previous run as well. Heat 2, he came from a fraction behind to tie Rohrer at the line. Rohrer with a 53.48 slide, and as he comes out of corner 14, he slides down in a 53.37.
That knocks out.
Marco Rohrer is out of the race, and Hansen Lee is in.
Well, he's in at the moment.
Yep. Rohrer is definitely out. So Hansen Lee at the moment is on the bubble in 20th, Barrett Martineau in 19th. So for the first time in 3 trips down this 1,200 meters of ice, there is daylight between Hansen Lee and Marco Rohrer.
Well, the start, look at his hand. Look at the arm come way back. He's using the full pendulum opportunity. Good technique. Well, expect that of the Koreans. They do everything very meticulously.
22nd after the first 2 heats is Alexander Mutovin. 10th of a second back from the tie for 20th place. So he could bust into the race here with a clean slide.
So 5.6, 5.7. He's going forward. He should be down 5.01, 5.02.
Great blue
that's not good
helmet.
there.
No, little drift into one, but...
Oh, then he hits before curve 1, so it's...
I thought he got it sorted out. It all went away.
Did you see that mistake now? He got out of the grooves. He had a look at that. He just looped 3, 2. So, I mean, now it's... NC, no chance. I mean, he had to light it up at the start, and then he had to have perfect form.
Well, there's 3 more guys who might make it into the race. Huge long skid, 7 to 8. So the run is clearly sideways, and again here as well. Not enough control. He's gone for a high rock. He's gone for low friction.
Yeah.
Should be good speed, but he can't control it.
He's like 1.5, 2 seconds off the pace of this run.
Yeah. 53.58.
Give you an idea, yesterday he went 54 and 91, but curve 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
It's as bad as you could do.
Yeah. And if you give
you
away
do a training video, you say you do not want to do that. And you know, we saw him a lot in North America. This is the Exeter Chrysler. The damage had already been done here. It's not too bad, Exeter Chrysler into 8, but again, his mistakes were up top. Doesn't matter what he does down here.
So Alexander Mutovin is out of the race. 3 more with a shot, covered by 0.06 of a second, but the gaps are getting bigger. Rhys Thornberry of New Zealand, the RAF weapons technician from RAF Prize Norton, settles in quickly. He needs a huge run here.
5.11. Well, Rhys, that's the type of start that you need. You had 5.15, 5.08, first 2.
He said he had 1 good run yesterday, but the first one was horrible. Let's hope that the second one is repeatable here, because that could put him into the final heat.
25th in the first run, 18th in the second run. And right now, he's moved up 1. Needs some afterburners here.
31st in last year's World Championships, his first, and this is off the back of his first ever full season of sliding. That's a great exit. 9 to 10, nice looping height in corner 10.
Hanging in there, but he's going to run out of track.
Timing is right, 22nd place on the split times. If he gets good speed at the bottom, he might just make it in.
No.
22nd, he is behind Marco Rohrer and behind Hansen Lee. So he will not take a 4th and final slide. Only the fastest 20 go through. But 31st last year, 22nd at the moment in this year's Worlds. That is a 10-spot improvement.
He had a good season on the North America's Cup. He won a race out there. He medaled a couple times, so you got to feel what it's like to get on the podium. And, I mean, he knows. I mean, big improvement this year from last, and you know he'll continue to improve and march his way into Pyeongchang.
Yep, that's what time on the ice does for you, and I'm sure he wants to say thank you to his bosses back home in RAF Prize Norton for the time to come and compete. For Switzerland, Ronald Odderset, just 0.04 of a second behind Rhys Thornberry. Thornberry moved ahead of Alexander Mutovin, and Odderset could do the same here as well. the younger of the Swiss pair, 26. Mechanical engineering student in a second World Cup season this year. Swiss trying to rebuild their program.
5:06 is not a bad start. He just had a horrific time down the track. Both heats, 22nd, 25th, second run. And, you know, if you're trying to do something, you can't do it that way.
Yeah. 10th fastest start in the first heat, 22nd fastest run. It was all a bit skiddy and just getting away from him and more control today.
Start time, you know, is one thing. Downtime, you got to put them both together.
Long skid, 7 into 8 though. See the extra 9 here, needs to come straight. Not bad, doesn't skid, doesn't tap. Sorts it all out, and quarter 10 has to steer hard off it though. You saw his legs moving hard and he clipped the wall as well, and he's very late in the labyrinth. This is where you're in danger of getting flipped off your sled.
Yeah.
Cross the line, 53.45, 20th fastest run. That's a good run from Ronald Arderset.
Got to make him feel better, you know, and even though it was out of control run, it was still his best of the 3.
Moves up 2 spots. It's a top 20 run, but he was outside the 20 to start with. He moves up into 22nd ahead of Rhys Thornberry by 200ths. But look, late here. Comes out of 11 in trouble.
Yeah, you can't hit the take onto the curve like that in the speed part of the track. And then he's late in the next 3 curves, and that's almost a scorpion.
Height in 12, and then late in 13.
Sorry Gustav, fährt nicht gleich mit dem Limit.
Moved up a couple of spots. Behind him, Hiro Takahashi, 400ths adrift of the Swiss after our first day of competition. So if he matches Arderset's speed down the ice, he could move up a couple of places too.
Very surprised that he's not in the top 15. You know, just had no performance this year out of an athlete with a lot of experience.
Just had a bit of a flatlining season. You see that in some athletes in these sliding sports. They get to a certain level and they have a sag season that just sort of drops away. Quite sure how healthy he was before the beginning of the year, but 5:08, 5:09, not even in the top 20 starters. That's all part of the issue here.
And he's a good slider. Look at his form. Look at the technical form here.
Yep.
Clean on the exit. I mean, he could slide with everybody, but he's just not doing it.
He's moving up 2 spots at the moment, ahead of Rhys Thornberry of New Zealand and Alexander Mutovin of Russia. 23rd on the splits, 22nd on the splits, overhauling Ronald Arderset. He's not going to make the top 20.
Look at his form.
How close will he get to Marco Rora's 21st? Well, he does make the top 20.
Wow, what a run.
Stunning run.
Casemiro, what do you think of that?
Well, I'm not sure that Hiro Takahashi will have even the slightest idea he's made the top 20.
Well, that's what he should be doing, though. This guy's got talent. We've seen him in the top 10 at the number of World Cups a couple years ago. And what turned the lights on?
He was 2 tenths out of the race. I'm sure he thought that was an unachievable margin.
I was just taking it for granted. Nobody else had a chance to even get into that margin, and he did it all.
Wow. Hero. Got to say hello to Ruth Neufeld and happy birthday from son Evan. His wife Alex is here. Cousin has come up from Italy as well to support Evan.
You heard that little tap. That's how he rocked back and hit the start block. It looks to me like there's some more snow coming in. Look at that. Happy birthday, Mom.
Yeah, long way from home, but not in his heart. 5:06 getaway from the man from Saskatchewan, right in the middle of his first day start efforts. A couple of World Cup races in North America for Evan this year. He's been in the lower category of sliding and is going to go back, I think, and do more sliding once the season in Europe is finished.
I bet you Hanson Lee is kicking himself. He thought he was probably locked into the field in the top 20, and somebody's got to tell him that Takahashi of Japan knocked him out.
By 400ths of a second.
I don't know if there's anybody else can do that, though.
Well, Neufeld was only 800ths behind Hiro, 800ths of a second. You see, that's still manageable, but he's very late at the bottom. He's making up 2 places, but I don't think he's going to make up another 4. He slips 1, 25th place. So, 25th place, tied with Alexander Mutovin of Russia.
Yeah, 27th and 21st yesterday in the heat.
All right, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
That is a wrap.
Good form, you know, really good form. You know, start time 14th.
Oh,
well,
bumped away there.
Curve 8 was his undoing.
And more snow comes down for Ander Mirambel from Spain, the man from Barcelona. 26th and 28th in his 2 runs so far, and lies 27th overnight. Quite a sizable gap to the men in front, over 1/3 of a second from the first heat. If he has one really tidy run, that'll make a difference.
Pause, what's going on here?
There's a track hold.
Sweeping. Martin Reynolds asking.
Yeah, you can't start the timer and then have a track hold.
There it is. That little foreign noise.
Sounds like the lift doors opening. Or the lift arriving.
Good technique here. And I think he's going to have surgery at the end of the summer, end of the season here, knee surgery.
5:14 getaway. He started 24 and 23 yesterday, so that's a big improvement. To find 1/10 of a second over 50 meters. Ask any sprinter how tough that is.
And you know, he was thinking about getting the surgery in November, December. Decided to stay with it. I don't know when it's going to be, but I'm sure it'll be soon.
So Ander with a 10th faster start. Let's see who he can close on. Alexander Mutovin, Evan Neufeld are the targets. They're in joint 25th spot. Little skid 9 to 10, gets it tidied up. Little Bromley sled slider, big skid there out of 11.
Good lines here, very much in control. Sometimes you're in that much control, the sled's got too much friction on it.
Cross the line, 27th
20th
spot.
best time.
Wow.
53.37. That's a great run for him.
That is a good run. 26th, 28th, and then 20th
That's
best time.
60 hundredths better. So you're 50. Way to finish, Andrew. Way to finish. That's great, man.
Vamos. Well, he'll be watching the final heat rather than participating. Got knocked away on the entry to 8. 9 though, look at the way he sorts out that little shimmy coming off 9 and uphill over that crest to 10.
See you in Konix here.
Yeah, we'll see.
World Cup.
Always a positive guy.
Birthday yesterday, so congratulations to him. Another stunning helmet livery from Joe Cecchini of Italy. What's the routine before the start? 3 times he'll go down to the sled. Always the same, little 2 touches and then ready to blast off into the falling snow.
Love the helmet though, wow. Decent start, 12th best start, but boy, he just used all of the exit of curve 1, all of the take on to curve 2, and needless to say, those are not the optimum lines at the top of the track where the speeds are slow.
Well, represents Italy, but comes from Calgary in Canada, originally from British Columbia, where his mum's a mayor in a small town there. But he knows the North American tracks much better than he knows the European ones. And this is the North American problem, isn't it? Is that you come to these European tracks and you don't have the run time, you don't have the run knowledge. As a result, you find yourself little on the back foot. Yeah.
He was injured first part of the year, and I'm sure he's still not 100%.
Right. He's given it 100% in the final round of this World Championships, though.
Pretty good lines. Feet together, very relaxed on the sled. 27th best time, 53.54. That's not his best.
No, right between it is. That's yes, that's half a second nearly quicker than he went. 53.98 was his previous best, so 44 hundredths better. It's a good improvement for Joe. He's one of the most relaxed guys on tour.
Well, exit of 9. Watch it here again. A little too high, and they have to steer off. Now watch how much he's coming left to right, then right to left. Used a lot of that straightaway.
28 sleds down of our 34 starters. Next up is Philipp Malta, former German slider. And now another track hold.
Oh, they got a...
Well, the German jury didn't do this for the front runners. I don't know what they're doing for the later runners. They're as vital to the competition as anybody.
We had one hold after 4 or 5 sleds. We had one time that they stopped for 20 seconds, 30 seconds.
Philipp, engineering student from Munich, started as a bobsledder, came 6th in the Youth Olympic Games as a bobsledder here in 2012 for Germany. This is now his 2nd season in skeleton for the Czech Republic.
Well, watch him come through 3. He's staying in that middle line. No, he's down low, goes up, comes back down, and watch him drift.
Like you, John, comes from a bobsledding family. His father was a German bobsledder in his time.
He looked at the quality of the athletes in the German bobsled team and said, I think I'm going to go skeleton.
Well, he had an injury, and by the time he'd recuperated, it had all sort of left him. It had gone away from him, so came back, got himself fit, started sliding with the Czech team. He's got friends. They live very close to the Czech Republic border.
Did he go to that school in Virginia?
How do you know? I don't know. I don't know.
I think he,
Christopher Schuler, yeah. Wow. 29th fastest run, 54.47. Yesterday he did 2 54.49s. Today a 54.47.
Very consistent.
Talk
very
about
consistent.
grouping. 200s difference over 3 slides.
Good World Championships, his first time out. Congratulations, Philip.
Hasn't started a World Cup race, but I have a feeling he might be doing some next year.
Those are good lines there on the exit of 9. No problems, no issues at all. Yeah.
Next up, with his brother Nick holding the sled, Dean Timmings for Australia. Well, Dean was telling me the other day it's Nick's money that is funding the World Championship effort here. Brothers have both got a budget, got a huge budget.
Nick's got a little injury, we aren't seeing him compete. But they're saying he might come out and compete. He might be the Australian representative next week in Königsee.
That would be cool, just to get a World Cup race under his belt before heading back to North America.
I did notice the other day that one of them parts their hair one way and the other one does the other way. So
no,
it's the only way you can tell these identical twins apart.
I'm starting to get a hang of it. Of course, with the helmet on, a little harder.
Yeah, it's a little tough.
5:31 getaway for Dean Timmings, former soccer player. Both brothers went to the same school as Australian Formula One driver Daniel Ricciardo. Just launched his new Red Bull car a couple of days ago, looking for another big season in F1.
No problem on the entrance to 9-8 to 9 crossover, but not bad. It's like it's a lot more relaxed on the sled. We saw him earlier in the season.
Again, more trips down the ice, more knowledge, more experience, it all adds up. You find the most experienced guys so often at the front of the field. Styling from Nick Timmings, brother, coach, sponsor.
Best friend.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you got a couple twins.
5.31 start.
There you go.
Glasses.
No sun's out, therefore no guns out from the Aussies.
See, he's trying to do that pendulum thing with the arm. Watch it get tucked in here too quick. But, he gets it. He gets that swinging gait motion.
There you go. A little bit of Aussie style for Dean Timmings. 30th of our sleds down. Race being led by Martin Stuklus.
Birthday boy
Happy
coming up
birthday to Mihai Pachianu from Romania.
He's
17
years old.
How do 17-year-olds spend their birthday competing in a World Championships? Stunning. 5:37. This young man's not even at the base camp of ice sliding, is he? He's on his way to base camp of ice sliding. He is so new to the sport. Began in the autumn.
Very polite, very inquisitive when he came in for his headshot shoot. When I looked at the date, I did a double take. There's no way this kid's 16 years old.
Far too mature. Kids are far too mature.
No, you're right. He's 17 in a couple of days.
Yeah. Well, he was recruited by Romania to try and make it into their Youth Olympic Games program, in which, incidentally, in men and women's skeleton, they fared pretty well. But he didn't make the cut. However, he's going to go to the Youth Olympic Games. He's in the World Championships. That's not really much of a loss.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
What'd you do on your 17th birthday? I competed in the World Skeleton Championships. Quite a story.
Here he is in the Worlds for Romania at 17.
Quite a legacy to say, hey, 40 years from now. On my 17th birthday, I competed in the World Championships.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Be that, kids. Yeah, there you go.
What'd you do on your 17th?
Setting the bar high for his grandchildren, I'm saying. There you go. Congratulations and happy birthday to Mihai. Let's look at the exit here. That's not bad. Little late height puts him into the wall on the exit.
Might be the smallest guy in the field.
Yeah.
The Timmins guy.
Tell you what, at 17, he's got a lot of growing still to do. He's got a few more years before he'll reach full height and full size. There he goes. Happy birthday. I have no idea. Should have googled it earlier, and I could have said it in Romanian. Next up, Michal Jakobczyk has never started anything other than a Europa Cup race. Another man with very few, handful of slides in his life, the Polish slider. He's never been to this track before in his life, just 20 years old, his first season on ice, and he will have done 10 trips here by the end of this World Championships, 9, and that will bring his run volume up to almost 80 trips down any track anywhere ever. So this World Championships represents 10% of his total lifetime on ice.
Well, Poland has got the bobsled program working, but they scout him. They need people like this to advance it. Poland's a great winter sport nation. It's great to see a representative out here.
Much nicer run in his final trip in this World Championships. Watch some of his training slides, and they were wild, as you might expect from a rookie on a track he's never seen before. Good exit from the final corner, 54.54, and that is comfortably his best run. That is very nearly, what's that? 2300's better, no, 1.23 better than his previous.
That's his best run, yeah, 31, 34, and 30th in 3 runs. That's the way to finish.
Good job from Michal.
Watch the exit of
late height.
Yeah, too early and costly. He's a tall guy. Ooh, that's not how you want to approach curve 8. So if he had his 30th best time, what would he have done without that?
Well, another year of experience, and those errors will be all long gone. 2 sliders left in the field. Next up is AJ Edelman. Everybody was saying after the race, all his friends and family, hey, who's this Adam guy? Well, that's actually his name, but everybody calls him AJ, representing Israel. You see Phil, the emerging nations coach, with him. Former ice hockey goalie. He was a goalie in ice hockey from the age of 3. He's having to adapt that wide, hip-swinging, sprinting stance you use on skates to
hockey,
running forward.
You point your feet out in hockey. Well, I've seen other hockey players come into bobsled that don't have a great start time. Look, if you give me a hockey player or a decathlete, I'll take a decathlete every time.
He said he was going to give it everything in his final heat. First 2 starts, 5:46, 5:42, and then a 5:34. So again, finds a 1/10 of a second in the start.
Said to me before the race, his mother was watching. His mother said he was horrified. He's watching his son come down the icy chute here in Innsbruck.
She'd never seen Skeleton before on TV. She may never watch again, but he's doing a good job.
Yeah, MIT guy, played hockey at MIT.
If the Israeli Federation gets behind him, gives him a little bit of funding for a track coach and for some ice coaching,
yeah, he's just going to go out and learn how to rerun.
Yeah.
He said that's his biggest challenge, is to go out and learn how to sprint. Without, hockey skates on.
Imagine Usain Bolt learning to sprint on the ice. It's the other way around. It's not the same thing. So AJ, congratulations. And welcome to the World Championships.
I bet you if we counted it up, we had 15, 18 guys in this 34 that are World Championship rookies.
Yep.
Maybe 15 guys.
Big field of rookies. And here's our final one, Denis Lorencic. Previous sporting career before he took up skeleton this autumn. Didn't have one, just came into skeleton because he thought it looked like entertainment. And it is a great sport. Nobody walks away from this without any impression of the speed and excitement of the sport. And again, team of 1 from Slovenia. He's had a season of sliding, and this is his 2nd year on ice.
Well, it's all about repetition, trips down the track. What a great facility this is to learn your skeleton skills. Here at Calgary, Park City.
A lot of athletes will have done driving school here to learn how to handle their sled in the first time.
Winterberg's another great track to learn on.
Little late height in 7, hits the wall, coming down into 8. Exit of 9, again a little late, and it's, we're talking the difference between his steers and Martin's Ducourse, less than a 1/10 of a second between success and having to fight it all the way through the corner.
Hey, he's throwing down another congratulations out to
Yeah, absolutely.
because he's a world championship
Alleen in rugstand van
veteran now in the sport of skeleton.
10,909.
Well, however Martins Ducours looks now, there were days in his start of his career when he looked like these. These guys are learning fast. Ducours, like everybody else, has had to do exactly the same. Nobody's born knowing how to slide ice. So all these guys need some more experience, some more coaching, and some more time on the ice, and that's what makes the big difference here. So Dennis Lorencic rounds out our third heat of 4, and our field is now cut to 20 sliders who will go into the deciding run. The last man on the ice will be our reigning world champion, Martins Ducours of Latvia.
How many world championships has he won? 4?
3 so far, looking for number 4.
You know, it's not going to be a victory lap, but it might. I mean, he's just so precise. I don't know what other athlete in what other sport has dominated a sport like this guy has.
So that's it. Martins Ducours leads by 3/4 of a second. The battle is on for the medal positions. Can Axel Jungk or Nikita Tregibov challenge Alexander Tretyakov and Sunbin Jung? Will something freaky happen? Martins Ducours has crashed before, but it hasn't been for 2 seasons. Let's wait and see what happens. We'll go 20 down to 1 with the world champion going last to defend his title and go for a 4th crown since 2011. From Hansen Lee of Korea on down, our remaining 14 athletes will join the fans trackside, and I hope you will join John Morgan, the IBSF TV crew, and me, Martin Haven, for our final run, which comes up at 17:15 local time, 16:15 Greenwich Mean Time. All the action to decide the first Skeleton World Championship medals of this World Championships coming up live from Igls in Austria. Until then, take care of yourself. We'll see you at 5:15.